My decade-long rebirth from junkie to teacher. My raw decade journey from addict to author, to helping others through self-discovery, resolve issues and shine their inner light. My decade-long rebirth from junkie to teacher. My background and personal experience. My name is Mr. Michael Adams, creator and founder of Keep Inspiration Alive. I am an Amazon best-selling author and a personal and spiritual growth blogger/writer. I help people all over the world resolve their unresolved issues and embrace their authenticity. Through my journey of opening up and sharing my story and being vulnerable, I have helped several people do the same. My writing and vulnerability have saved countless lives over the years. People reach out to me to thank me, as they have felt a connection with me and my story, and they decided to give life another chance after almost committing suicide. My story inspires hope in people and will continue to save lives around the world, and help people know they have so much more to live for. But it was not always this way. I am a former addict of narcotics and pharmaceutical medication. Narcotics include heroin, OxyContin, fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, barbiturates, muscle relaxers, antidepressants, alcohol, marijuana, and more. My drugs of choice were heroin and methamphetamine. How my narcotic addiction first began. I got a back injury at work. I got 3 ruptured discs in my lower back and went out on workman's compensation. During that time, I had to go through intensive physical therapy to try and deal with the pain. The doctor I went to prescribed me Vicodin, and it quickly escalated to higher and higher doses, then heavier and heavier opiates. To give you an idea of how much I was taking in one day, at the height of my Vicodin days, I would take about 50 a day, give or take. This happened at the peak of when pain medicines were being passed out like candy by doctors here in the USA. I eventually started getting my hands on oxycodone from friends on the streets. I would smoke oxycodone, as it gave me instant relief. I then transitioned to heroin from there, as I discovered there was no difference between the two, except that heroin was cheaper. Once I got into smoking heroin, I knew my life was in a place where I never wanted to be, and looked for ways to end my addiction once and for all. The struggle was real, and my addiction kept getting worse. Looking for solutions, I tried AA and NA for a while and would show up daily to meetings at a nearby park and started to go to a methadone clinic. But AA and NA did not resonate with me, nor did going to a methadone clinic. I saw flaws in each service. AA and NA have us say to ourselves that I am an addict, and on some level, I was aware that the words I am are the 2 most powerful words in the human language. Anything we put after those 2 words we become. It did not resonate with me to repeat my addiction story over and over with other people, as that is deeply ingrained into our subconscious mind, which rules 95% to 99% of our reality. At the methadone clinic, I started looking around at how long people have been on methadone and realized this was just prolonging the pain of my addiction I am experiencing. Finding a better way. I then thought to myself, there has got to be a better way. So, I started to change my vocabulary around my own experience and visualized my future far away from my addiction. I first started using words that were away from my addiction, then transitioned into words that were toward my desired future, testing the waters to open up. Deep in conspiracy theories and paranoia, I was not sure who to open up to and share my struggles of wanting to get sober. There was this heavy shame and stigma I was experiencing. I learned through playing with different apps and playing with technology that I could move my location around the world. I originally did this because I did not believe in the propaganda the news media tells us about other countries. I figured out a way to move my location around the world and talk to people in different countries that our media have us believe are bad. I thought to myself, what is something I could connect this to, so I can start speaking to people in pinpointed locations around the world and find people who want to open up and talk. It dawned on me that dating apps would be the perfect place to start. Once I figured out this was possible, I started to think this might be a good place to start to share. I am addicted to narcotics and desperately trying to get sober. My thought process behind this was, if they judge me, who cares? They live on the other side of the world. It's not like I will ever meet or come across them again. I then continued to push forward and started every conversation with, I am not here to date. I want to get to know people like you from around the world, as I am deeply interested in culture, and I do not believe what our media tells us about your country. I want to be upfront with you at the beginning and let you know that I am also an addict and addicted to heroin, and I want to stop desperately, but I am not sure how. That is just a side note I feel you should know about me. But I am more interested in getting to know you, and to learn from you about your country and the people who live there. There would always be a long moment of pause and silence. I honestly expected everyone to block me or end the conversation. Something unexpected happened. To my surprise, everyone did the exact opposite. People seemed to be intrigued by my upfront, blatant honesty. I remember I first started in Russia, as that was the furthest place in the world I could think of. I then started building friendships all over the world over time. People started telling me, I sound like a nice guy, and they pray I figure out how to get sober. If that day ever comes, they gave me an invite to visit them. They would put me up for free in their home, and they would love to show me around their country. I started hearing this more and more. This did 2 things for me. It gave me the courage to open up, and it also had me rethinking what I should do for work moving forward and maybe start exploring how to create something online and be my own boss. So I could take some of these people up on their offer to have time freedom to come out and meet them one day. Seeking community, people, and trust. As I started getting more and more comfortable with sharing my story, I knew I needed to expand on this, if I truly wanted to get sober. I started out seeking community and people to open up to and build trust with. I was at a breaking point, and I knew I needed help. I was not sure who to turn to, so I reached out to a punk rock community on Facebook, as I knew my fellow punkers have similar issues they battle. So, I took a leap of faith and posted, I am a heroin addict and want to stop. I am not sure who or where to turn. If anyone can offer me any advice, I would appreciate it. Something unexpected happened, as someone reached out to me and shared with me that a small group of people are starting a group chat to help one another get off drugs together, and we would love to have you join. I jumped to the offer and went all in on sharing my story and talking to other people. Most were from different parts of the USA, but there were a few who were from different countries around the world as well. This taught me that we all have similar problems, and struggle the same way. Shortly after joining, the person who started the group DM chat created a group page and asked if anyone wanted to volunteer to be an admin and help with the group. I immediately jumped at the occasion, only after I thought to myself, wait, what is an admin? I should probably ask, not that I care, as I just want to help people. I guess I will learn as I go. As I stayed up at night, high and preparing myself to take the leap of faith into sobriety, I continued to talk and help people. I shared I was still on drugs, but I was trying to get sober like they were as well. Through the process of feeling safe to openly share my story honestly, being hurt, and helping others through their experience too, I finally built the courage to get sober. I was able to stop all my addictions to heroin, opiates, and antidepressants I was on, quitting cold turkey on my own. Withdrawals. The withdrawals of heroin were horrible, and then getting off antidepressants shortly after, stopping cold turkey for both of them. I first got off heroin, which was very difficult and felt like the worst flu I had ever experienced. After getting off heroin, I realized I beat the odds, and it was a true testament to a miracle. I then decided to get off my antidepressants. I stopped my antidepressants cold turkey as well, which threw me through what felt like a state of psychosis. But I knew deep down my brain needed to heal and recalibrate on its own, so I held my ground and stuck through it. Journey to recovery. I had just gotten through the worst of it with the heroin withdrawals and quit all my pharmaceutical medications. I thought I made it through the worst of it. My brain was still recalibrating from stopping my antidepressants, and it was really hard for me to think straight. I refused to go back or to get back on my medications. Relapse. After being completely sober for over 6 months, the cravings for heroin crept back up on me with intensity. Fearful I would fall back into old patterns, I thought to myself that methamphetamine would be easier to stop. I remember thinking that with methamphetamine withdrawals I just get sleepy and have no energy or motivation for a while. It is nothing like the pains of heroin. This is how I justified it to myself, to only do a little bit to help me overcome the cravings for heroin. I will just do a little bit for a short period, to help get over this hurdle, I told myself. That little bit turned into another couple of years of use. One thing I had not taken into consideration was the psychological grip it has over people. My life started to spiral out of control once again. I sat at home in the dark, with my blinds shut, and rarely going outside. I sat in stillness and examined my mindset and the depths of hell it was taking me. This was when simple tasks started to become very difficult for me. I was eating very little and watching my body turning into skin and bone. I would stay up for days on end, sitting on my couch. I did not sleep much, and when I did, I would pass out from exhaustion still sitting in the upright position, sleeping for only short spurts at a time, only to wake and smoke more methamphetamine. Consequences. I started to feel my body and mind shutting down on me. I watched my legs swell up to 3 times their size, and I could barely stand up or walk. I could feel the blood moving to the vital organs of my body, and I watched as my body parts took on new shapes and colors. I started seeing numbers appear and form on my skin. Parts of my arms and legs started forming different numbers and patterns. I remember seeing my skin fold up on itself and seeing lots of 1s, 4s, 5, 6s, 7s, and 9s. This concerned me, and I felt like I was going through some sort of stigmata or something. On some level, I was aware I was slowly dying. I felt like, and remember thinking, I was being given warning signs to change or die. Spiritual awakening. One late night, I was sitting in stillness on my couch, reflecting on how my life got to this point. Then all of a sudden, I was attacked from behind. The only way I knew how to explain this, it felt like someone was hiding in the other room and got a running start from behind me and slapped the back of my head. I flinched and fell off my couch, holding and protecting my head from further attack. I immediately jumped up with my fists raised, ready to fend off the attacker. I turned around, only to discover that no one was there. I then felt my head to see if there was any blood, and there was none. I held my head in a daze of confusion. The pain was not from the outside of my head, but from the back of my brain. It felt like whatever slapped me penetrated through my head and into my brain. What happened next, words can hardly describe. I had a download and was shown visuals. Every question I ever had about life, my entire life was shown to me. I remember being in complete shock. As I tried to make sense of it all, I started speaking out loud as answers flooded my mind. But before I could spit out a complete sentence, another download appeared, and another, and another. I was then shown the entire universe and all life within, and how everything is interconnected to each other. The time that passed was unknown, as I am unaware if it happened in minutes or hours. Time seemed to not exist during this very unusual download of visions. Once everything settled, my only explanation was that it was God, slapping the back of my brain, to get my attention, and to stop messing around in life. That I am here for a much bigger purpose. I went from a borderline atheist to a full-on believer in God in an instant. Left confused. The next day I called my mom and told her I had a spiritual awakening last night. She said that is good, but what do you mean by that? I tried to explain to her the event that took place. She was very confused by what I was sharing with her. She got very concerned for my well-being and mental stability. I then tried to explain to my friends what had taken place, only to be met with words of discouragement and laughed at. I knew deep down what had happened was real, but no one else seemed to believe me. Many people mocked me for what I was sharing with them. This left me in a deep state of confusion, and wondering if I was losing my mind. Seeking answers, I spent the next 18 months still on methamphetamine, barely sleeping, and spending all my time looking up spiritual scriptures from as many religions as I could find. I watched YouTube videos on enlightened beings and researched people in history who had made an impact on this planet that we still know and talk about. I stumbled on spiritual tools and patterns each person spoke on or applied. One of the patterns I discovered that each individual had in common was meditation. I then turned to and explored physics, quantum entanglement, and astrology. Then moved my attention to different religions, from all the Abrahamic religions to mysticism to paganism, to shamanism, to voodoo, to witchcraft. I even looked at and into Satanism. I then turned my attention to the East and started exploring Eastern faiths and philosophies from Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, and just about all the isms I could find and discover. I was led down a spiritual rabbit hole, desperately seeking some sort of pattern, or anyone else who may have experienced what I went through. I still was not eating much, and my body and mental states were still declining at a rapid pace. The straw that broke the camel's back. During the time spent researching, barely eating, and drinking absolutely zero water, only 5 tall cans of Monster Energy drinks a day, I passed out 5 separate times in less than 1 year, each time hitting my head. 4 of the 5 times happened when I would stand up and go use the bathroom to pee. I passed out each time in midstream, and woke up in the bathtub with my penis in hand, pissing all over the place, including on myself. I'm pretty sure I got a concussion each time. The 5th and final time, I was brushing my teeth and started getting dizzy. I knew this feeling all too well. I turned to look at the wall, while I still had the toothbrush in my mouth, looking for somewhere to brace myself and hang on to. But it was too late. I had woken up on the floor in a pool of blood. When I regained consciousness, I don't usually remember the events leading up to passing out. As I opened my eyes, I saw my toothbrush next to me, and my phone nearby on the floor. I immediately went into panic mode seeing all that blood that I was laying face down in. Once again, my mind went to thinking I was attacked at first. When I tried to get up, I realized I could not, and saw that my nose was completely sideways. The blood loss had come from my broken nose. That was when I knew I had fallen unconscious once again. I believe I was unconscious for 1.5 hours, as I lay there bleeding out. Luckily, I took the toothbrush out of my mouth, as I was falling to the floor, or I may not be here now writing this story. I knew I needed to fix my nose, while it was freshly broken, so I gathered up all my courage and snapped it back into place. The pain I had was so immense that it almost had me passing out again. I could hear my birds screaming in the background. I lay there dying, or so I believed. I was still too paranoid to call the police or an ambulance for help. Because of that, I almost gave in and surrendered to death. But as I lay there listening to my birds screaming at the top of their lungs, I knew I had to stick around for them. Because if I lay here and died, then no one would find me for a long time until my rotting carcass started to smell and tip off the neighbors that something was wrong. I knew my birds had no chance of living without me, so I fought to stay awake, even though I felt my soul eager to leave. I tried desperately to stand up and calm my birds, but it was futile, as I had lost too much blood, my eyes watering with tears, and my vision blurred. How do I seek help if I don't call the police? I remember thinking, I know, I will call my friends. They will come immediately and help me. So, I grabbed my phone that was lying on the floor next to me and started making calls and texting people. I left voice messages to everyone who did not pick up. My voice was in complete distress. Emergency. This is how I started each voicemail, text message, and call to people who answered their phone. A sad reality hit me that I was not expecting at all. Most people did not answer or respond. Of the ones who did answer, 99% of them acted like I was exaggerating the situation, hung up on me, and one person even laughed at me. One person sincerely cared about me, but she was out of town and could not do anything. She pleaded with me to call an ambulance, and I refused. I then got on my hands and knees and crawled to the front door, to unlock it, just in case someone showed up. They would not need to kick my door down. I mustered up all my strength and crawled and unlocked it. I then tried to crawl closer to my birds to comfort them. But I collapsed in the middle of the living room and just started sobbing. I can't believe no one cares. How did I get here to this point? I then realized I had made a lot of mistakes in my life, and the people I have surrounded myself with. After laying there for a couple of hours crying, I got enough strength to crawl to my bed, try to sleep, and do my best to put this behind me. I woke up to a couple of my friends calling me out of concern. Their phone was off, and they were sleeping. They just heard my message and called me immediately, asking what happened. I took note of who called me back. At this time, I had a feeling I would be okay and just needed rest. So, I assured them I was okay. I just needed to sleep. I briefly told them what happened, promised them I would be okay, and I would call them later that day. Other friends I did drugs with called me days or even a week later, seeing if I wanted to pick up any drugs, or if I had any drugs they could get from me. I asked them if they got my message. They said yes, but you were obviously okay. I asked, so you didn't think to call me at any point to check on me? They either laughed or changed the subject back to drugs. Wow. I hung up on them all, burning all my bridges. After spending a couple of days lying in bed healing and recovering, I had a lot of time to think about my life choices. I knew I needed to take drastic measures to change. I then spent the next few months going off on people like I never have in my life. I am not proud of how I did it, but something within me knew if I did this as badly as I did, there would be no going back. Even if I changed my mind later, I would know just how badly I told them off, that none of them would accept me back, even if I begged. Yes, it was that harsh what I did and spoke, abandoning my entire life and starting anew. I had decided to start my life over. That was the only thing I knew to do. I had recognized all the mistakes I'd made leading up to this day. I then started taking inventory of my friends who called me back in concern. I analyzed every one of them thoroughly. I then lay low for a while as I put deep thought into what I was about to do, reflecting on my life, and all the things I do in my life. What was a positive influence, and what was a negative experience in my life? I started analyzing my entire life, from the music I listened to, the people I follow online, and social media, everything. I started writing in a notebook my ideas and realizations. I came to a stark realization that I need a fresh do-over in life. Every aspect of my life must change if I want to live, and never go through this again. I was aware of life's toxic patterns I got myself in. I then started to see I have many issues I need to resolve. But the only way I can resolve them is if I do a master reset on my life and start a new life. I took this master reset idea very literally. To the point, I started watching Sesame Street, started learning from a child's level, and reteach myself everything in life. I was inspired by the Adam Sandler movie, Billy Madison. Plot: Billy Madison is the dim-witted, childish, and spoiled 27-year-old heir to Madison Hotels, a Fortune 500 chain of 650 hotels founded by his father, retiring tycoon Brian Madison. Billy spends his days drinking with friends and creating disturbances across his father's estate. One evening, Billy ruins an important dinner meeting between his father and his associates by acting obnoxiously. Brian loses confidence in his son and chooses his devious executive vice president Eric Gordon to take over Madison Hotels. When Billy begs his father to reconsider his decision, as he knows how callous and cruel Eric is, Brian reveals that he secretly bribed Billy's school teachers to give him passing grades. The two finally compromise. Billy must complete all 12 grades of school, with 2 weeks for each grade, to prove he is competent enough to manage the company. So, this was what I felt. I knew what I had to do to save my own life. I self-taught myself at every level of life. I even found interest in new things, such as business, and online business from a global standpoint, investing, real estate, land purchasing, business laws and rights, etc. I remembered those nice people around the world I first spoke to when I first tested the waters, and how much they seemed to care about me, and me getting sober, an unexpected visitor and the final relapse. As I was consumed and wrapped up in starting a new life and taking notes and inventory of all the things in my life, I got an unexpected message from a friend I had made early on in my adventures of testing the waters. It was a friend from Taiwan who was coming to California to go to Disneyland. She was on a tight budget and did not realize how expensive California was. So, she asked me if she knew any cheap budget motels for $20 or $30 maximum, because she cannot afford anything more. I told her, yes I do, but I would not let you stay in any one of them. I know them to be dangerous and riddled with drugs and dangerous people who would take advantage of her. She cried, because she was already in Northern California, and it had been her dream since a child to see Disneyland. She remembered I lived near Disneyland, and how nice I was, that she felt she could trust me in any advice I would give her, and to not take advantage of her. I then offered her to come stay at my place. I just can't go anywhere, but to help you save money, I can offer you a place to stay, and I will sleep on the couch. I was already used to sleeping there anyway. She asked if I was sober. I told her yes. I have been sober for 6 months now. She was so happy to hear that. This was going to be my first visitor who did not do drugs and the first who ever came to visit me from another country. So I panicked as I looked around my home. I was a pack rat and a hoarder. I was embarrassed to have anyone see my home and how I was living. So I thought to myself, I could do a little methamphetamine before she gets here. She said she would arrive in 2 weeks. That gives me enough time to do a little and clean up as much as possible. Then go through the withdrawal process, and then be back to normal by the time she arrives. Turn of event. I picked up more meth. I do not even remember where I got it from. As I started cleaning, she called me and said she misjudged the date, that she has a bus ticket that leaves in 2 days. I was already high on methamphetamine at that time and pleaded that she come on the date we agreed upon. She could not change her bus ticket. She did not know how to. She is new to this country and is a visitor. She does not understand how to do that. She could hear the stress in my voice and said she would just not come then. She does not want to put me in stress. She sadly said, maybe another time I will get another chance to visit Disneyland. I was just so close. I do not know if I will ever get another chance to visit. But that is okay. It was my error. So, I will accept it. I felt so bad. I told her to take the bus and will gladly host you. I was in a dilemma. I knew I could not get sober by the time she got here. I wanted to show her a good time and show her around my city and county like she and others had offered me if I came to visit them in their country. So, I decided to stay high and hope for the best. I tried my best to hide the fact that I had relapsed and was high around her. I went and picked her up at the bus station, and I brought her back to my home, and we sat and talked, and got to know each other. She was nice and calm. That was what I noticed about her right away. She was just so friendly and had this calm demeanor about her. I then learned she is Taoist, and that she meditates. Later she had suspicions about me, as my behavior was off. So, I came clean and told her I had relapsed right before she came here. She cried and told me I did not look healthy. That stuck with me. She never seemed to judge me. She just seemed concerned about my health. She knows I am such a nice person, and she does not understand why I choose to do drugs. She spoke with genuine curiosity. She stayed for about 5 days, I think. When I took her back to the bus station to go back to San Francisco, she thanked me for being so nice and not trying to take advantage of her. I told her, I'm going to stop taking drugs now. I do not know if she believed me at the time, but the very next day was the last day I ever did narcotics. That was it. I no longer want this stuff. I want to travel. I want to help people, and I want to meet my friends around the world. I want more. She helped me see that. She helped me see how nice people are around the world. So, I quit and never did narcotics again. It was a long road to recovery, but I was able to achieve it. The turnaround. I then changed all my social media accounts and started listening to new and positive music. I started reading personal development and spiritual growth books. I sought out meditation and how to learn it. I saw a Netflix movie on Yogananda awakening during the spiritual rabbit holes I went down prior. I figured out they had a temple nearby that offered meditation. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just knew deep down that meditation would help heal me. So, I started going for the meditation aspects and got into the religious teachings they had to offer as well. I came to understand mysticism through the comparison of the Holy Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. These two books in comparison helped me understand the metaphors of each holy book, and how much of it helps us understand how to go inward. Then I started to realize just about all holy books I have read are speaking the same thing. This helped shift my understanding of life and how to live. Stepping out of my comfort zone, I started to learn online business and went to in-person events to learn about wealth building and all the ins and outs of building a business that could be used to help others around the world. I started to create a compelling future to strive for. During this time of learning so much about business, I learned how I could write a book. I thought this would be a great opportunity to write and document all the meditation techniques that helped me transition from being on narcotics to getting off narcotics. I knew meditation was the wide open secret all of us seem to be missing. It's that missing piece of the puzzle. Plus, from my experience, it was very powerful. Becoming an Amazon best-selling author, I researched how to upload my book onto Amazon, and what I needed to do to write an ebook to sell. I had learned to go to Fiverr to find people to help me make a book cover, and to format the book. So I started writing this book. It is straight to the point, and the best meditation techniques I have discovered along my journey. I then uploaded my book Matrix Meditation. Step out of the matrix and into your higher self to Amazon and promoted it, and to my amazement, it got ranked #1. I was blown away by these results, which increased my confidence that I can do more in life, by just stretching myself outside of my comfort zone. Once the emotional high settled down, I did not know what to do next, nor did I have a game plan or a roadmap to follow on how to take that book to the next level of helping people. The road to success was not easy, as my brain felt fried, and my nervous system shot out, especially now that I am learning so much, in so many dynamics of life at a rapid pace. So, I continued to work on healing myself and then came to the stark realization that I have many unresolved issues in my life that have shaped toxic patterns and cycles in my life. Unresolved issues realization. Even armed with this new profound self-realization that sunk in, my life did not get easier. It made my journey that much more difficult. Where do I even begin to resolve my unresolved issues? How do I identify what they even are? This depressed me. I felt very alone and had no one to talk to about what I was going through. Even my close friends who I transferred into my new life did not fully understand what I was going through. Since I started a whole new social circle online, I was not sure who to open up and talk to about what I was going through. I felt very misunderstood by the new people I was meeting online in the business, investing, real estate, marketing, advertising, and sales circles I was getting involved in. This pained me so much. I was determined, as another realization I had was that our cells live for 7 years. That means that if I can stay the course and fight through all this, after 7 years I could reprogram my entire body from a cellular level. This then started to turn into a game I played in my own life. That no matter how bad it gets, I will stick through this for 7 years and consciously transform my body from a cellular level. I knew if I could do this, I would never fall back into toxic cycles and patterns again and live the life I know I deserve. Maybe my path would light up and I could help others through the suffering I have gone through. I felt like God and the universe were guiding me on some level that I did not fully understand yet. There is this mysterious energy that is shaping me. So, I stayed determined to stay the course, resolving my unresolved issues. Meditation was a huge factor that helped me identify my unresolved issues. Every day, every month, every year, I pushed through the discomfort and started knocking out unresolved issues I had in life. I felt I was deep in hell. Through this journey I have been on, I like to look at it as I dug a secret tunnel out, escaping hell. This book I am currently writing is my way to pay it forward and give others a roadmap out of their own hell. The promised land ahead. I am fulfilling my promise to God, the universe, and the energy that helped me through it. This is me coming back now that I am out, and to guide others out of their own hell. I am helping people all over the world, and giving them hope that they too can do it. You can live the life you deserve and help others and make an impact on this planet. Once you escape, learn to settle your mind and nervous system. Imagine becoming comfortable in your own skin once again, and becoming your most authentic self, by releasing all your mental and emotional blocks you have. All this can be achieved by identifying and resolving all your unresolved issues, and start becoming more visible to shine your light. You have greatness inside of you to become a lighthouse for others around the world. My call to action for you: follow me on Medium and read my blogs that will help you identify and how to overcome your unresolved issues. I write about tools and strategies from a personal experience that I know you too can apply. Stay driven to change, and know that you have greatness inside of you. Stay tuned for my book to help you resolve your unresolved issues that will also help you become your most authentic self. Every love donation given helps fill the writer's cup. Send some coffee love and see their ideas light up. Click here, Ko-fi. Enjoy and love. Mr. Michael Adams, creator and founder of Keep Inspiration Alive. P.S. For further understanding of my journey, I have written many blogs on my website. Click here. Keep Inspiration Alive. I have documented my mindset growth and perspective shifts along my journey to help inspire others.